I think we're, no, I think we're live. I have no idea.
We may be.
I have no idea. It says we're live, so yeah, I think we're live. So, if anybody is tuning in, you can let us know if we're live. We've never done this before. I'm not technical at all, so I'm just kind of winging it.
And that's how we live.
That is how we live. So we had a request to do this. Brian is here. Hi, Brian. Can you hear us? I have no idea if we're like just running our mouths and no sound is there. Yes, perfect.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Couple of old people trying to figure out technology.
So we had a request to do this, and no, thank you, Brian. So we had a request to do this. Somebody, one of our subscribers, and actually a high school friend of mine, wanted to do this back in December, and I just kind of laughed it off. And anyway, we've talked again, and so we're doing this, and hopefully she'll join in. But anyway, this is for you guys, so ask us anything you want to know. In the meantime, we'll just kind of run our mouths. To introduce, I'm Jill.
Yeah, and I'm Wally. And if you haven't seen our channel before and just happen to stumble on a live broadcast, we live full-time in an Arctic Fox 990 truck camper, and we just travel the country. We're both retired, been doing full-time for coming up on 2 years. So yeah, that's just how we've been living. Surprising how many people have shown interest in how we live. We started the YouTube thing for family and friends, and it kind of took off. We were surprised at how many people started watching us, and that kind of led us to a little bit of pressure to put out a few more videos from, you know, for you folks that were interested. We're not professional. We don't monetize YouTube. We didn't want it to be too much of a chore, but we do enjoy your feedback. We do enjoy that you guys are watching some of the videos, and hopefully we'll get better over time of making them. But we try to give you some content that we think would be interested in. We love the viewer comments, because sometimes that spurs a video, which gets more interest in something that we would have thought of.
Right. And we came up with the handle FoxPartyOf3, and we always get asked why FoxPartyOf3. They assume that we have a dog, and we did. We had Bueller when we first started traveling. He was amazing. He was a perfect travel dog, and I'll get choked up. We lost him in February of this past year, so it's been a little over a year now.
Yeah. As we were traveling, he started actually right when we came back from a Belize trip. He was limping when we picked him up, and he didn't get any better. And about 3 days on the road, we had him checked out, and he had a bad tumor on a leg, and it was already
in the
bad.
bone. We couldn't see it.
Yeah, and it was already bad at that point, because literally the day we found it, he quit eating and drinking. Yeah, but he was a great companion. So we kept the number 3 in our handle, and Fox Party 3 was my alias in the restaurant business. I used to always take names when I was in the restaurant business before the military. And people would come, we started a waiting list, and they'd give you this long last name, and you couldn't spell it or pronounce it. And people are always murdering our name, so.
Which is not hard.
It's not hard, but they would mispronounce it. Mispronounce, thank you. I'm George Bush. And they would, or misspell it. And so we got tired of doing that. So I just said our alias would be Fox. And then, so we did that for 30 years. And whenever we went to a restaurant, we gave our name as Fox. And then we bought the Arctic Fox. And so it just kind of morphed into Fox Party of 3.
Right. So that's how we came up with the name. And then we still have Bueller with us. And, maintenance question. I have a maintenance questions for Wally. If you have a way to talk, email, or phone number, I didn't see it online. You guys have been very helpful since we just got a F350 and an AF990, which is what, oh, you remember Bueller too, which is what we have. We have the F350 dually, it's a gas, and the Fox 990. Brian, do you want to just go ahead with your question and type it in, and then we can do that, because I don't know what else to do. And if
Yeah.
you know what to do, you can tell me what to do. Yeah, you have the same as us.
Yeah. So by all means, maintenance questions. There are a lot of truck camper people on this. So,
And Chris has joined.
hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris. Chris is the reason we're doing this. So Brian's question, Wally, I have purchased an inverter for my AF990. Where did you install it? Under the steps to the bunk?
Yes, under the steps going to the bed, that area, that little
To
plastic box that's under there. We put an inverter underneath that plastic box, so the box was able to stay.
And did you connect it into the wire from the AC to DC inverter, bottom left corner under the step?
Yeah, so I actually had it professionally installed. I'm not an electrician. A buddy of mine, Kenny at yellowskeeter.com. And if you contact Kenny, he's probably one of the nicest guys you ever met in your life. Kenny would be more than happy to probably help you through that process of how to do it, where to get the product, and how he did ours. I just mentioned my name. He knows me very well. Yellowskeeter.com, Kenny. But we just put a single outlet underneath the sink area, right above that little step that you go into the bed area, and the inverter is under the big step near the floor. So
right in front of the bed, over the cab bed.
Yeah, that lift up tray step. So hopefully that answers your question.
Chris is asking, so first, Brian, hope that helped. You can confirm. And Chris is asking, where are we right now? So we are in Memphis. We've been here for about 3 weeks. And prior to that, we were here for almost a week, I think. And then we took a 10-day break and came back. What we're doing, and I don't know that anybody knows this, this might be a big announcement, we are doing professional pet sitting. So that's what we're doing here in Memphis, and that's why we've been here so long. We've been sitting with Pebbles and hanging out with her. This is actually a family member that knew that we were available to do this and asked, and we were happy to help. But we also offer our services on trustedhousesitters.com. That is a paid service. You are a member, and whether you have the house or whether you are looking to sit for the house. And you're background checked. Everybody goes through a background check, so you know that you're generally not dealing with an axe murderer. And
you may get us,
And anyway, it has been a way for us to kind of get our pet fix since we've missed Bueller, and for us to sit on a couch and take a break and force us to slow down.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing here in Memphis. Actually, the parents come back tonight, and so we will be leaving here in the morning.
And it's been great. We've been this is about the third or fourth time we've done this. We've got 3 more scheduled on through till October. I think we've got one up in Pennsylvania. We've got one upstate New York, and then we have one in Maine. And then we're going to turn around in the fall of the year, October, November timeframe, and then head back to California to do one there. And then after that one, our hope is to go down into Baja for the winter. So we're not getting paid for the pet sitting. It's a swap. You get the house and the stay and trade for taking care of the pets in their own environment. So it's really a win-win for everybody, I think, because we're loving how it's working, and it's definitely gives us our pet fix, and the pet owners know that the pet gets to stay in their own environment, and that's a really nice thing if you've ever owned a pet, and their routine doesn't change.
Yeah. So that's what we've been doing. From here, to be specific, Chris, we're going to leave here and make our way towards Atlanta, see a family member there briefly, and then we are going into Hamilton Branch State Park in South Carolina, and we'll be meeting more family members for a big camping trip with everybody. Looking forward to that. And then from there, we'll work our way up into North Carolina to see more family.
Yeah.
And then up into Virginia to see more family and friends. And then we will...
slow traveling. So,
yeah.
Yeah, we're forcing ourselves to slow down. And,
a lot more than we have in the past.
and which is nice because it saves a lot in gas when you get 9 miles a gallon and when you sit for a while. So that's been a plus, and it forces you to kind of do some local touring. And since we've been in Memphis, we've done the Elvis thing, we've done Sun Records, we've done the Civil Rights Museum. We still haven't done Bill Street. We may have to come back to that one.
Yeah.
But we try to in our travels too. We don't try to just come in and just bombard an area. Even when we're traveling fast, it's okay to miss things because we catch ourselves going back in that area, and it always gives you something to look forward to if you haven't done absolutely everything.
Right. Yeah. So we usually try to save something to come back for.
Yeah, and for our initial start of our travels, we thought we got to see everything. We're going to be in this area. Well, that's not a good idea. It really is good to pass.
Yeah.
On some stuff and just allow you to catch it next time.
Okay, Brian, we would like to do the Alaska trip next summer. Any suggestions? How was going through Canada? Okay, good question.
Okay, you want to?
So my thoughts on that, and Wally's thoughts might be different. So I'll go first. Canada was amazing, and we went too fast. So I would recommend slowing yourself down. Alaska's going to be there, especially if you give yourself the whole summer and maybe ever so slightly into September.
Yeah.
But we just were so excited to get there, and we pretty much blew through Canada. But I think we could have really slowed down and spent a month easily in Canada.
Yeah. British Columbia is absolutely gorgeous. We went up through the Idaho area, so that if you go up Banff, that area, and the ice.
The ice fields.
Ice fields, yeah. Slow down through there. Lake
so
Louise,
gorgeous,
right?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
Lake
God.
Louise.
One of the most beautiful places in the entire world. I would
Unbelievable.
think. I used to think Crater Lake was beautiful, and I saw that lake, and I was just like, wow, blown away.
Absolutely.
But the border crossings aren't that bad. They can be anything from let us see your passports. What are you doing? How long are you going to stay? Have a nice day. To pull over. You've been randomly selected. We're going to go through your vehicle. We're going to actually check your person. We're going to check your camper, your truck. Do not carry a weapon up there. We actually had one of those searches. I was so glad that I did not have a weapon on me. You could ship a weapon if need be. There's, if you wanted to go up there. But the only reason, we were safe up there, felt good. The only thing we were concerned with, I think, was, your
bears.
Bears.
But I don't really know that 45 would have done any good for the bear. I think it just would have, pissed him off, and then we'd be mauled. So
we both carried big pepper spray canisters. We both
bear spray,
bear spray, and we went and got those. And we saw 90 bears, and now 42 of them were one day on a bear viewing in Katmai, but we saw a lot of bears all the time. We had a bear destroy a couple of our inflatable kayaks overnight beside our campsite. You will see bears up there.
Yeah.
So that was...
Yeah, we saw, did you tell them 90? We saw 90 bears. So they're everywhere, and it's their space. You're in it, so just be respectful and mindful of that. We were silly with the kayaks that we had left them out overnight, and we had been fishing on them, so they had some fish smells on them, and that's what, and then it's a toy, it's a blow-up toy for the bear, so that was a $1,200 mistake for us.
Yeah, that was a little costly.
But, that's, it happens, so just...
The rain, it can just rain for long periods of time.
Right.
Some things you'll need is buy yourself some bug repellent clothing, at least the hoodie kind of shirt. Sims makes a great product that really kept the mosquitoes away. We also bought the Thermacell. Those work.
They work.
The mosquitoes aren't as aggressive as most mosquitoes that you're used to, but there are more of them than you'll ever have seen.
Yeah, we would pull into like some camp spots that we found, and the truck would just be covered with mosquitoes, and they're big and they move slow, and you cannot kill them. You hit them and they just kind of like shake it off and fly away. It's weird, but Yeah, we did buy those nets. I don't think we ever even wore
No, we
them.
never put the face nets on.
The Sims shirt worked. I mean, they even kept the bugs off of our legs. So check
Yeah.
into the Sims bug repellent, mosquito
Clothing.
repellent
It's that
clothing.
high-end fishing clothing, and it really, yeah, it's a great product. They were about $85 a piece, and that hurt to purchase them, but they work.
And were there many campsites to pick from, or was it hard to find? There were.
Depends. So if
Okay, so that was one of my big fears driving up there is that, oh, we're not going to find a place to stay. I've never had to worry about it really.
not with a truck camper,
Yeah, so,
if you got a big rig, different,
yeah, so, and
especially if you can boondock.
Brian has what we have, so you should not be in any problems with that. It was weird. I expected it to be way more busy up there,
we
but
thought it would be more crowded. I guess people are spread out, you know. There were some areas, you know, if you go down into where's the peninsula where we were fishing?
Homer?
No,
Skagway?
no, it'll come to me. The most famous
The
salmon fishing river.
the Russian River.
Yeah, where we did a foot trip. What's that area called?
That is the
Kenai?
Kenai
Kenai
Peninsula.
Peninsula. There you go. If you go to the Kenai and the salmon are running, that's going to be a busy area. Soldotna and all that. There was a campsite right there at the Russian River that you could stay. I forgot how long you could stay, but that seemed like we went back there a second time. That was a great stay.
It's a parking lot, but it was perfectly fine.
There was a grizzly bear one afternoon that came into the campsite right there, and I later saw him stealing fish from people later on in another fishing trip right off the bank. I watched him 3 times coming out of the woods and grab people's salmon, but
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. But yeah, you shouldn't have any problem. We were winging it most everywhere we go.
Yeah.
We weren't making
We
reservations.
were not making
And
reservations.
it was no problem at all. And that's the beauty of the truck camper. You know, if you got a 45-foot tow behind, yeah, you're gonna probably need some power and do some planning.
And the parks in Canada, the provincial parks, those are really nice, and they're usually pretty big. They have big campsites. I think it was $20 Canadian dollars to stay per night, and never had a problem pulling into any of those.
Yeah.
The Alaska state parks.
Yeah, they're kind of, they leave a lot to be desired. You know, most of them were just on the side of a highway in a parking lot. Now there were a lot of pullouts that you could just stay all along the road if you know they were there, and
They're for the truckers, so be mindful of that. Just give them space to get in and get out.
pull up all at the far end of one of those and next to the corner out of the way so the big rigs can come and go. But yeah, you don't want to travel Alaska at night. So if
No.
it starts getting late, you know, you want to pull over. There are some big critters that go across the roads there at night. But yeah, we didn't have any trouble, but we didn't like a lot of the Alaska state parks because it really was just a parking lot, you know.
You're welcome. Let's see, Chris. Oh, us too. Oh, you're going to Alaska too. Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Chris, are you going in a camper or are you going on a cruise?
And then
Fascinated with all of what we've done. Glad we're slowing down. And you're in awe of the places we've been. Cool. Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing how much stuff we've been seeing. We've really been enjoying our travels, and we pinch ourselves all the time. It's just it's really a fun lifestyle, and it was worth trading all our belongings really for the experiences. We're just having so much fun.
Cruise, land, and sea. Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw lots of people doing that while we were up there. Those cruise tour buses do take you
Sometimes all the way down into Canada.
Yeah.
We saw some folks at Dawson.
Yeah, Dawson. If you get the chance to go to Dawson City, do that. That was probably one of the coolest little towns along the way.
Right there at the border of Alaska and Canada. So we saw people from all over. But the cruise thing's good. You're going to get bombarded on the cruise with as soon as you pull in the port with all the furriers and mostly the jewelry stores all selling the same kind of jewelry. My recommendation is get 2-3 blocks off the main path. You'll find some of the better food, some of the better vendors, and not pay as much. Most of those shops are owned by the cruise ship industry that are really close.
Yeah, and then I keep a travel journal, so And that would include like places we've eaten, places we've camped. So Brian and Chris, you both are talking about going to Alaska. If you wanted to message me and get some of those
I do, you know.
names of places, I would be happy to share that with you.
Yeah.
I don't have my journals with me right now, but I have them. I have them in the camper. We're just not in the camper right now.
And getting back to clothing too, I wanted to mention, buy yourself a pair of muck boots.
Oh yeah.
Going to Alaska, if you're
And they make cute ones,
if you're on
Chris.
the cruise, if you're on the cruise ship, you may could just pick some up in one of the ports. They make some. It's actually a stylish thing with the Tough brand for the ladies are wearing them. It's kind of a cream color when they roll them down. They've got different material on the inside of the lining, and it's a fashion statement. The guys, of course, you can just wear anything, but yeah, they're very handy because you will find Alaska is very wet, especially if you're going up, Brian, in the truck camper. Get you a small wet bag. You can use even like a portable grill bag, and throw your wet and muck boots in there. And then I rig some hangers, wader hangers on the outside of my Fox landing, and just we'd hang them up to let them dry. But they're really valuable to have up there because otherwise your footwear is going to stay wet all the time.
Yeah, and then we did not have waders for going fishing in the Kenai. Or anywhere else we went fishing, the muck boots pretty much did the job.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really, just aware of what you got, you can make it work. It would be nicer if you got the room. If you
you've got the extra tufts already, yeah.
Yeah, if you've got a place for some waders that you could store them in a box on a roof or something, it would, it'd behoove you to take them if you got the room. I wear a size 15 shoe, so for me it's hard to find waders without paying a crazy amount of price, but. The muck boots that came up to my knees were a lot taller than a lot of guys were wearing waders because I'm so tall,
So Brian, how would you contact us? I'm happy to share my email.
Yeah.
It's Jill Cutchin, Cutchin, at mac.com. And yeah, if you want to reach out to me that way, I can send you whatever it is that you're asking for in particular towns, or just maybe if you don't know what you're asking for, maybe I can look through my journal and see what.
Or or we can just once we establish that contact, we'll send you our phone number. You just call us too.
Yeah. And then Chris, you said something here. Oh, Dave would love to do the camper life. You're not sure if you're cut out for it. Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah.
You're a camper girl. I know you.
Yeah, and Jill didn't think she would at first, and we were a little
Absolutely.
concerned. We were a little concerned too of being a small space, especially on those rainy days. But Alaska was probably the month of June. It rained the whole month, and that was probably the worst as far as being in a camper. But we just put on our rain gear and our muck boots and hat and gloves, and we went out in it, and we were just laughing and having fun.
Right.
It did get a little dreary at times just because the sun didn't come out.
That was, to be honest, that was the hardest month I've ever had since we've been doing this. There were tears shed on my part. I was very frustrated because, Wally had said, well, we're going to follow the weather, and then we get there and the weather sucked. So
and it was sucking everywhere around us.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's a great thing about not making reservations somewhere too, as you can kind of move around if you see weather windows better somewhere else.
So Brian, to repeat, it's Jill, Jill, Cutchin at mac.com. Hopefully that helps. But yeah, that was the hardest month. I was not happy. Wally even offered to fly me back home. I stuck it out, and I finally just had to realize, we're here. We got to just suck it up and get out there. So we put on our rain gear and off we went. And once I did that, then I was pretty much okay.
It's kind of like when we lived in Seattle. You just get used to it after a while. But if you just do like the locals do and just go out in it, it's not that bad. But if you're in that mindset, I can't go anywhere because it's raining, then yeah, you'll be miserable.
You'll be miserable.
It's
So,
a lot about
Chris,
the attitude.
you're asking what part did we spend the most time in? Girl, we were everywhere. We
Yeah.
were, and we were, did not travel smart. We went up, we went down, we went east, we went west. We
Yeah.
were all over the
Sometimes
place.
went back to spots that we'd already been, but we
Yeah.
covered all the major roads in Alaska, and then some of the
Secondary
the
roads.
secondary roads up to Hyder and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Some of those, if you read, if they're really sketchy, you know, it's my house and I'm driving it, and I don't want to get stuck in the ditch. And some of those roads where, you know, you would read about how, you know, tough they were, and it was one way in, one way out. And there was one or two times like that we passed. But as far as all the other roads, you know, we went, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of potholes. There's a lot of frost heaves, you know, that just dips from the permafrost. And you'll just look at the lines on the road when you're driving up there. If you see a line squiggle, it's probably a frost heave coming at you.
Yeah.
You can go in, you know, you can see usually down the straightaways for miles, and you coming up on a pothole, a lot of times, you know, you see traffic go into oncoming the lane to avoid the big potholes, and it's all right. Everybody's doing it.
Just
But
just
the
go
roads weren't
slow
they
and
weren't
you'll
that
be
bad.
fine. Yeah, I didn't think the roads were that bad.
I thought they were better than Highway 10 going across the, you know, Louisiana to
Yeah,
Georgia, you know,
for sure.
Texas.
And then Chris, you're asking what month did I say the weather was so yucky? I said it was June.
June, yeah.
But when we were there, the locals were like, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know where our summer is. So I think with all our crazy weather that we're having, it's just nothing you can really count on. Did we do a lot of fishing or any fishing? Yes, we did. We
of
fished
fishing.
rivers, we fished lakes, we fished
Ponds.
ponds, we fished. We went out in Cook Inlet for halibut fishing.
Yeah.
Get yourself a fishing license and go fishing.
Yeah, fish Alaska. It's definitely worth it. Lots of we caught salmon, pink salmon, and Valdez. We caught, you know, salmon at a Homer and halibut Homer. There's Kenai Peninsula, lots of salmon there.
Yeah. The Russian River. Brian, you like Utah. I do too. That's one of my favorites.
Jill's more of the Utah and the Red Rock area. It's a little dry for me. I'm more of a water guy, so I loved Alaska. You know, I really dug Alaska. I could go back in a heartbeat and would.
I liked it a lot.
The scenery's just.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, everywhere you look, you think, you know, I'm not going to see anything prettier, and then the next day you see, you know,
Right.
more stuff.
But Brian is asking, have you been to the Skyline Rim northwest of Hanksville? I would have to look at the map
I don't know.
and I can let you know, but
We covered a lot of Utah a couple different times.
Coast Guard in you, yeah, for sure. He likes the water.
Yeah.
In your situation with the camper, what did you do with all your fish? Oh, well, we kept them.
Yeah. Vacuum sealer. If you don't have a vacuum sealer in your truck camper, your camper rig, it's worth its weight in gold. I love it. I vacuum seal everything. Even when we're going hiking, if you want to vacuum seal some safety gear or
Dry
some
clothes.
extra clothes, you know,
Socks.
a wool cap, extra dry socks. But we do it resealing your potato chip bag to vacuum sealing your fish. And I ended up at one point, I think I had 16 or 8, I think it was 18 packages of frozen fish vacuum sealed in
Halibut and rainbow trout.
or salmon.
And salmon.
And salmon. Yeah, we had a little bit of rainbow trout too, all in that freezer. So the vacuum sealer helps you create a lot more space by doing that. And so, yeah, that was, I packed all I could out of there. We thought about getting like a small Dometic, you know, fridge freezer. And if you were going up there and you've got room, that would be a great thing to have because you are going to catch some fish. I gave away 2 big halibut, and you know, I was like, oh, you killed me. Now I could have shipped them home for $300 or $400. But
Probably should have. Next time we will.
Probably should have done that with the price of halibut being like 20 some bucks a pound, you know. But yeah, a Dometic freezer that you could, a cigarette lighter, plug in the back of your truck if you had room, and a vacuum sealer, and just bring that stuff home, you know.
And Brian, you mentioned, what was it? Let me see. Skyline Rim. I'm going to write it down.
Yeah.
Skyline Rim, Northwest Utah.
Yeah, we did.
I'm going to check into that because we were all over Utah.
We did a lot of beautiful stuff in Utah. It's beautiful.
All right. We will, if we haven't seen it, we will see it the next time we go through there.
This is a question here in your situation with the camper.
We already went over that
Okay.
one. Yep. That was my next question. Did
Oh,
you
and I
have
took,
to ship it? Yeah.
I just recently pulled, I carried 10 fishing rods with me. I carried some ultralight stuff all the way up to some musky, stuff. And there was some good, not musky, but good monster pike fishing. As soon as you get up in the upper regions of the U.S. all the way through Canada. So yeah, I had 10 fishing poles that I took with me. I keep about 5 of them beside my bed, 6.5-foot rods all the way from like bass tackle all the way up to musky rods. And then I keep 3 or 4 ultralights in the folding box, the long box. And then I keep 1 or 2 takedown rods, like spinning rods in that box. And then I had, I think I had 2 fly rods. I ended up giving one to a young boy while I was up there. He was learning how to fly rod fish. I gave him one of my rods while I was up there. But yeah, take some tackle with you. You can buy pretty much what you need up there. But it's nice to have. I take all my reels off my rods and put the reels in a soft case. So I carry 9 different fishing reels that I can interchange. Actually 10 with the fly rod. And then they're all, in the soft case, and I can just put them on a rod. So storage isn't that big a deal if you do that sort of thing. The hard thing for me was how was I gonna carry them. I figured that worked best. Is it worth the trip to Alaska?
He says it's worth the trip,
it's
and I think he's talking about the Utah thing.
Oh yeah.
So we will look into that. The other thing I do, in addition to a journal, I'm a very visual type of person. So I like having notebooks and things like that. I use my phone all the time too, but I definitely have to use notebooks and things. So I have a giant Rand McNally big print map, and I have been highlighting the roads that we take.
Yeah.
And I use a different color highlighter for every year for the year. So anyway, I can look quickly and see at a glance if we've been in that area, because my goodness, even when we first started, when we couldn't remember where we had been so many places, and we were traveling so fast. So yeah, we may have been there. I just don't remember, but my map will tell me.
We did fishing both. There was a lot of times you just pull over on the side of the road and it'd be a beautiful river. And
So the question is, did you fish with guides or just wing it?
Yeah, and sometimes we did both.
We did both.
We chartered a boat out of Homer. We did a float fishing trip on the Kenai, but I also did 2 or 3 different trips in Kenai on my own. Just at the campground right there at Russian River, jump on this little barge at a hand line across the river. You pay $6-10 or whatever, and then you can walk the other side of the bank and fish and catch salmon there. The rod of choice for the Kenai salmon fishing, they do something called flossing, and you want kind of a heavy duty fly rod, almost like a saltwater fly rod, and you're really just setting that line out about 10 or 12 feet, and you're just keeping that amount of line out, and you're tossing it up current, and you're bringing it down current, and literally the salmon swim with their mouth open and swim across the line, and then the fly just snags them in the corner of their mouth.
There you go.
And you just sweep it, and you just cast, let it go down with the current, pull it back, and do another one, and you're just sweeping it the whole time. I did it with a bait casting rod out there, because I actually didn't take my fly rod that first trip there. And then I really didn't have it set up for that, but just like a half-ounce weight or some split shot. There's a certain fly you'll need to buy at the local fly shop. It's a gap fly. I didn't know until day 2. So it's illegal if you fish with the wrong size fly. But that was it. On the charter boats for the halibut, I'm using their tackle. But for most of the fishing I was using my own tackle and doing my own thing. But you can mix it. But halibut fishing, you want to hire a guide, because you're going to run out about 20-25 miles to do that.
And the day that we did it, the water was like a bathtub. It was just flat, calm, beautiful day. We were very lucky.
And there's plenty of guides out there. If I was going to do the halibut trip again, me being a Coast Guard guy, I didn't ask the right question. I'm surprised at myself. Let me see the boat I'm going on. The boat we went on had a low freeboard, which would have been bad on a rough weather day. But so look, they have head boats that go out maybe 15, 20 people, or you can go out on a 6-pack boat with 6 people. And if you're only just, 1 or 2 in your group, they'll put you with another group. And we ended up going with another family.
And they were awesome.
And they were great. Yeah,
Yeah, good people.
There's plenty of fish to be had.
Yep. Our captain was good. He worked hard.
Yeah. And then the guide, we met a guide on a back road as one of our drives, and I called him about 3 or 4 weeks later to fish Kenai, a guy named Hambone. And so it was just kind of a funny meeting of him. But yeah, he was a good guide to fish with. And he told us about when he was attacked by a grizzly bear a couple years earlier and survived that. And, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So after the horrible month of June, did the rest of the summer improve? Yes.
Yeah, it turned out beautiful.
And actually, it was almost like July 1st.
Light switch.
It was, like a light switch. And the weather was so much better. The wildflowers up there are amazing.
Everywhere. The side of the road.
Just
you don't even have to go to a special area to see flowers. And the bears come out and eat the dandelions on the side of the road. So you'll see a lot of bears as you're driving up just in the spring. As soon as those dandelions start blooming that yellow flower. And I didn't even know they're good to eat for us. People put them on salads, but the bears are just gorging themselves as soon as they come out of hibernation
and
on the dandelions.
And Chris, so you know me since we went to high school together. I'm a beach girl, so I will say that also made it hard being in Alaska for me because I like, shorts and sleeveless shirts and bathing suits and stuff. And even though the weather improved, there were only a few days really where
tank top,
I could be in a tank top or
Denali,
something.
One of the hikes, we got warm.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like I missed out on what I remember or think of as a summer, but so that was another reason why I was having a hard time there in Alaska.
I loved it because it was
it.
the first summer I didn't sweat. And I just loved that, and I love the layering, and I love it. I love the 60-degree days. Those are perfect for me. So
Dave wants to know how long the halibut charters are, and also if you have anything to say about Denali. Yes.
Yeah.
So the charter was an all-day thing.
Yeah, and that's the way to do that.
And it was a 6-pack, just to be clear.
Yeah, and they'll check your fishing license when you go, and they provide everything else for you. I think we packed some snacks and drinks and whatever in our backpacks. But
yes.
Yeah, and then what was his other question?
Denali. Do we have anything to say about Denali?
You got to do Denali.
We have a lot to say about Denali. So in your case where you're doing the land and sea thing, you should have the opportunity to take probably the train, I'm thinking, into Denali from your cruise ship.
Yeah.
We did see lots of people doing that. Sign up for the wildlife tour?
Yeah, the wildlife bus.
They have a couple of different buses that run and do different tours. You want the one that was the most expensive and the longest.
If you have the time and the money.
It wasn't that expensive overall, but I say that because it was the most expensive one that they offer. And I think it was the wildlife tour, but I can't remember. But I can look it up.
And that goes into the park, down the dirt road. You see a lot of wildlife. They actually stop and back up and show you stuff.
The guides are probably wildlife biologists and
the bus drivers.
Yeah, the bus drivers, and they know where those animals are. They know where to look for them. They're talking to each other, so if somebody sees one, then the next guy will know where to look for them. Our guide said he's been doing it for how many years?
Yeah, I don't know.
Forever, and he had never been skunked as far as not seeing animals. And we saw lots of animals. So I recommend that trip. And
the charter boats, Chris, I see you're asking a question about the charter boats. Do they provide a fishing license? No, but you can get one online. And you and Dave will both need one if you go, and they'll check it on the boat. They're not going to let you fish without it. But just be sure when you want to get your fishing license, you have service to do so. Don't wait till the last minute because cell phone service is sketchy up there.
Yeah, and it wasn't that expensive.
No,
I don't
think
remember.
It was like $117. It was pretty expensive. I ended up with I think 7 different valid fishing licenses last year from different states: British Columbia, Yukon, Alaska, Montana, Idaho, North Carolina, Virginia, Texas. I spent a small fortune on fishing license, and I never got checked
Yeah.
the whole year.
But gotta have it.
Yeah, so
You were talking about the buses that go past the regular tourist area, and yes.
yeah, they
So
go
this
deeper
this
into the
bus
park.
goes as far as it possibly can. Right now, there was a bridge or a road that was blown out because of
Yeah.
weather or whatever, and they're working on it,
It
but
may or
it's
may not be up.
slow. I don't think it would be open this summer or next summer. I think they were talking like 2026.
6, I think.
So anyway, it takes you in as far as you can go, which I believe was the 45-mile marker, somewhere around
It
there.
was a good trip, though.
It took a long time.
We saw caribou, we saw moose. I don't know if we saw bears on that trip.
We
but you
did
could-
see bears.
The nice thing about that trip, too, is if you want to get off the bus and walk the dirt road, you can.
Not
and
on that trip.
Not on the wildlife
Not
tour.
on the wildlife
Oh,
tour.
yeah,
They
you're
don't
right,
let
you're
you
right,
get
you're
off the
right,
boat.
You're right, you're right. That's if you're camping in the campground in Denali.
Yeah.
Off that dirt road, you can just catch a bus and get on and off. So glad Jill corrected me, because you would be like, I'm getting off.
Yeah, don't get off the bus and wander off.
You get off the bus, and then next thing you know, you're missing your cruise ship. And you're like, what did Wally tell me?
So, yeah, we camped in Denali for a full week. We were at Tetnalika campground, which is at about mile marker 27, I believe. Absolutely no services whatsoever.
And once you get there, you're there.
And once you're in, you're there. You can't drive back out.
If you leave, you're done. Even if
Yeah.
you've got a 10-day reservation, you leave on day 4 thinking you're going to go eat some groceries and come back. No.
Yeah. So we were prepared for that. And of course, with our rig, we're completely set up to be off grid for, at least a good week, probably even 2 if we're very conservative with certain things.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was great. And so each day we would get up, get on. They have buses that run through, not the tour buses, but just buses that are running through the campground. And you could get on the bus and you can just get off the bus wherever you want. And then you can go off on a hike.
And you can get off the road to hike on Denali. We stayed on the road, and we saw enough wildlife doing so. But there are some people that actually get off and go over one of the hills, and I'm like, I don't want to get that far away from the road. There's
there's no official trails in Denali, so
you just take the tundra.
I was comfortable with the road.
Yeah. Yeah, for our age and our skill level, that was great.
Yeah.
You definitely want to do Alaska.
Yeah.
Even though you're talking about the warm months, and even if you just go one time, you should do it. It's a bucket list item.
And I think, Chris, you're doing it a great way. You're going to see a lot while you're on your land, sea, air thing. It's a good way to see it. You're going to see as much as you can in a short amount of time. But do try to get, a block off the road when they drop you off in an area. Because, like he said, there's jewelry stores and furriers that align those roads. Did you take your bike out at all? I have a Honda Monkey on the front of my rig. So when we were in Alaska, I could think you're asking. He did.
It's like, even on the Kenai Peninsula, I would unload my bike and grab a fishing rod and strap it on the bike and go ride to different areas and go fishing. Did some, just sightseeing and stuff on the bike, a lot of grocery runs and stuff on the bike. So I would definitely take your bike up there, reinforce your rack, or be sure you got a good rack for it, because it's hard to get. I did have mine finally kind of wear down a little bit, and I had to get it welded for reinforced, and I had a good rig. There's so many frost heaves and potholes, you're going to beat the crap out of your rack. Maybe carry a couple extra set of tie down straps, or at least a couple of spare tie down straps, and be sure your rack's in good shape. But yeah, you definitely want to take it up there. You'll use it.
Okay, Chris, let me be specific. You're saying what? You can't leave? So when you go into Denali,
When you're camping.
for that particular campground, Tetnalika, I don't know specifically where the line is that starts, because I know that some of the earlier campgrounds that are closer to the very beginning, you can come and go. But where we were,
Way back in where the buses run, the wildlife buses.
we were 20, I believe it was 27 miles
26,
in.
27 miles.
And once you're there, for you go in the day that you check in, and once you're there, you're there. You don't come out with your truck. Now you can get on one of those buses and ride all over the place.
Run back to the visitor center if you want.
But you cannot get back in your vehicle and drive out again.
Well, you can drive out. They're not going to let you back in, even if you got reservations. So
Right.
They do that to limit the amount of vehicle traffic on that back road because they don't want it to affect the migration of the wildlife. And they don't want people just coming and going all day long in their mini winnies. So that's why they do that.
And then your other question, do you research your next destination extensively as you go, or do you learn as you go? So yes and no. I do research extensively all the time. I'm looking ahead. Yeah. In Alaska specifically, we had the Milepost guidebook, and that was a big help. Yeah. I used that pretty much extensively to see what was ahead, so I knew that gas was coming, or a grocery store was coming, or a campsite was coming, or something like that. As far as like planning out a trip, we don't do that so much. Now, I will say this trip that we're on this time, because we are in a more populated area where there's less BLM land, that sort of thing. So yes, I am being a little more particular about looking at where we're going and trying. I'm even setting up reservations, which is kind of new and different to us.
As soon as you go west of the Mississippi River, land is available and you can wing it so much easier.
Could you see Denali? Yes, we did see Denali.
It's going to be hit and miss. They say, 30% of the time you may see it. So if you got 10 days there, you could expect to see it 3. So you could go up there on a cruise ship and go in there and not even see it. It's a high probability of that. Now, are there other things to see? Yeah, but you're tundra and you can get low clouds and fog and some, spitting rain. But it's worth a gamble.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And the funny thing is, when we did see it, we didn't know that was it.
Well, when we were talking about when we were like even 100, 20, 30 miles away from it coming into the parks, or sometimes down the road, we would stop and I'm like, wow, look at that mountain.
Yeah.
And we're 125 miles away and seeing it, and you just see a huge mountain. You don't realize how big it is because you're so much of the curvature of the earth is between you and it. But yeah,
I took a video actually of Wally talking about taking the trail bike. We were on, I can't remember the name of the road, but I can figure it out. Some side road, and it was pretty dicey at a certain point. Yeah. So Wally took the trail bike to go look at it. And anyway, I stayed with the truck, and I was looking at this mountain, and I'm like, I think that's Denali, but I'm not sure. Turns out it was, and that was a beautiful day. And then when we were in the park, we saw it. The day that we took a nice hike, I think we saw it a couple of times while we were in the park. Okay, let's see. Brian, you wanted to know, do you use any apps to find camping spots? I use Campendium a lot. I'll go between that and iOverlander. Yeah. They seem to work really well for me. I do have all stays that I will look at also, but generally I'm looking at Campendium. Secondarily, I'm looking at iOverlander, so hope that helps.
And if you can get on Denali Highway, it's a dirt road. It's about 70 miles long. Some of the most phenomenal camping sites all along that road, and it's desolate, and there's very few. There's only a couple of gas stations on that road, and maybe like a 120 mile long road. But yeah, that was places like that were just absolutely fabulous to pull over and stay, and you don't always find them, on a site. Sometimes you just stumble on them, or you talk to someone else on another camp area, and we kept bumping into 2 or 3 people, often, and as we're traveling Alaska, or you'll see the same rig, and you start sharing, hey, have you guys been here? And word of mouth is pretty cool too.
Yeah. Chris, you have a ton of questions. No problem. That's why we're doing this. Yeah. So happy to help. So ask away.
Yeah, if it wasn't you and Brian, looks like Jill's dad just tuned in. Yeah, we don't have too many people online.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
no, it's
yeah, we are planning ahead. We're planning to be there in Cambridge, but here's some new information that we have not shared with anybody yet. We are building a little casita.
oh, we are.
We
Oh,
are.
yes, we are.
Down in the Rio Grande Valley.
Yeah.
And right now they're saying that the closing date is May 15th. We're hoping that it will be sooner than that. So we are trying to, right now we have plans to fly down to Houston, pick up what little bit of stuff we have left in a storage unit, and then make our way down to the Rio Grande Valley to take possession and move in to this place that I have no idea when we'll ever be back again. But
So
yeah.
So Corky, if you're looking for a place to stay in the winter, that'll probably be a cool getaway for you.
Yeah.
You can come down there and stay.
We do hope to rent it out. So if anybody wants to winter down in the Rio Grande Valley,
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Yeah. So that's kind of a mental place to have. We're just, it's not really our home. We're going to be so much a home base that it's just going to be maybe a place that we could just say if we get bored, we want a place, we can say, yeah, we have something.
Yeah.
It's more of I think a mental peace of mind thing for me. Jill's like, she doesn't want the bill, she doesn't want to, but
I'm worried that it'll interfere with our freedom that we have and that I love. So that's my hesitation, but I just go along.
But our financial guys told her, hey, you're just reallocating instead of putting money in a savings. You're putting it on a little mortgage, and it's 730 square feet, so it's not like a big place. But it has RV hookups and all that. But the bad thing, Brian, is a lot of those places down there, they'll build a cool little casita and they have RV setups, but they don't allow, they discriminate against pop-ups and truck campers. So something to think about if you're ever looking at doing what we're doing.
And coming to Hatteras, I just don't think we're gonna make it this time.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
We will be in Suffolk if you want to come up there, but yeah.
I know I'm going to New Bern. Outer Banks may or may not make it this trip. Like I said, it all kind of too depends on the house. When we get the call, excuse me, all flapper valve. When, you guys have that problem when you get older. You're probably not that age yet, but your flapper valve just doesn't work good. You start choking yourself. But anyway, yeah, when we get that phone call, we'll probably just leave our rig. Hopefully, we'll be near a family or friend's place that has some parking, and then that's when we'll fly out. So, not sure how that's going to come into play the next 4 to 6 weeks, probably. I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah, it just all depends on that darn house.
Sooner than that. Yeah, I think they're wrapping it up this week, and so we could get a call next week saying, hey, you guys come down and start looking at the place, and we're gonna up the closing date till the first of the month or something.
But here's the thing, Chris, is that we are always coming to that area. So just because we don't make it this time doesn't mean we won't be there next time.
Yeah.
Do we have Skylink? No, we haven't done that yet.
We will get it.
We will eventually get it.
We don't need it on the East Coast, and then the more populated area you are, the less it works. So we're going to hold off instead of purchasing it now and not really needing it. We're going to wait till we're starting to head out west because we figure it's definitely for Baja. We'll have it then. And two, as technology changes, 6 months or a year from now, what we would buy now may be outdated. But from our research, it's a worthwhile investment, and we will be buying it. I did buy the phone boost, we boost antenna. Very disappointed with how that worked. I actually even took it off the rig and left it in the storeroom. It was maybe giving us a half bar, 1 bar better than we were getting, and just for the hassle of having it, I took it off. So if you want a Wii Boost, I'll sell you one really cheap.
Maybe it'll work better for y'all.
Yeah, I see a lot of people that have them. It just for us, it just didn't seem to do the thing. But
yes, I would like to. Chris is excited for us. What a great life. It
Oh,
is a great life.
thanks,
We
Chris.
do enjoy it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yes, I would like to have had it last week in Utah. Very limited
Yeah.
coverage. Yes, I remember that.
Utah, you need it. You need their Starlink in Utah. And as far as living, Chris was talking about, she's happy that we're happy. I told Jill just this year, I don't think I've ever been happier than I am right now. And that says a lot because I've been a pretty happy guy. So I think last year was my probably favorite year of my life, and just getting ready to turn 60 and to say that is a lot. So you don't need to own things to be happy. You don't need to own much to be happy. Just being with the person you love and doing the things you love to do, and making memories and having experiences, for me, has been a blessing and a joy that it exceeded all my expectations that I had.
Yeah.
And I would do it again. So.
Yeah. Where do we get our mail? So we use escapees.com. They're an RV club. Yeah. And you pay a membership, and then they take all your mail. They receive your mail. You get a mailing address, which is a legal address, and it is used for voting purposes as well.
Driver's license votings.
So
we kept it in Texas just for taxes and driver's license, and we were already set up there.
So they receive our mail, and they let me know. They scan the envelope, and then from there I can say send it, and I can schedule it when to be sent and give them an address where I'm going to be. Or I can ask them to scan it, and they will scan the insides of it and send that to me, and then, that's how I get my mail.
Yeah, and it's $125 for the service for the year, and then the following year is cheaper. The first year is a little bit more expensive setting
For
it up.
setup fees.
But yeah, it's been working good. And so for us, as we're pet sitting, we can say, hey, we're going to be at a certain address. Send us, a box of mail, and they'll just send, what's important that we want, and it comes. And you pay to have that shipped out. But yeah, it's nice to, if you get something important you've been waiting on, maybe there was a tax document or something, you could say, yes, go ahead and send that right away, or open that up and scan that for me.
Now, prior to that service, my brother was taking care of our mail, and that was fine too, but he has a life. So
I didn't want to. It felt like we were really burdening him, and he would have been glad to continue on. So if you got a family member, that's a possibility. But
as long as you don't mind them looking at your personal business.
Yeah, my personal business is boring. So yeah.
And Brian, you're saying, it must be the AF 990 life because you're happy too. I'm so glad you guys are happy.
Glad you guys are happy too, Brian. The simpler life is fun, It doesn't take a whole lot. Look, there's Cindy.
Cindy's here. Cindy, we'll be seeing you shortly.
Yeah, we're heading to see Cindy pretty soon in South Carolina. A lot of storms down south. We've been kind of dodging those, and that's another great thing about the truck camper lifestyle too. Is you see weather, you can kind of pick up and move easy. The bad news is you're in a small rig if it does get really bad. But yeah, that's kind of we try to avoid the weather where we can. But we were fortunate this time. Most of the bad weather the last day or two was south of us,
west of us.
Yeah, kind
of. Chris wants to know, how does Amazon find you? So my Amazon account has addresses, a list this long, because I'll go to a friend's house or a family member's house, and I'll have stuff shipped there.
Yeah.
So
I just sent some shoes to my sister's house, and that I know I'm going to be in New Bern, North Carolina here in this next month. So it's easy. If you're going to be somewhere for a couple of days, there's also mail services that you can rent an address or a box.
Yeah, and then Amazon has drop boxes too.
Yeah,
so
if you're going to be in this town on 4 days from now, you can order something and set up a box and have it shipped there, and it'll be ready for you. And the post office, I think, will do the same thing. General
delivery, but a lot of campgrounds too will accept mail and packages if you call ahead and make those arrangements.
Or just ask them.
Yeah. So we haven't done that, but we're part of this thing that has been so great about what we do is that we do get to see more family and friends more than we ever did. So. Yeah. If I know I'm going to a family or friend's house, I will ask them if it's okay to have an Amazon package shipped there. And, usually it is, and
Yeah.
that's what we do. So
And people are so friendly and kind most everywhere we go. I mean, we just pulled into, when we were traveling the blues circuit in the Mississippi Delta, pull up to the place, the bar where we're, visiting that night and listen to music. Hey, you mind if we spend the night here? Sure. You pull up to a VFW, site. Hey, we go inside and ask them, do you guys have a water spigot? I can fill my water tank. It's so, if you ask, most people are so kind and go out of their way. And we found that there's more good people than there are bad people in this world. Most people are afraid. Are you scared of this lifestyle being out there? No, I'm, literally more scared when I come into town than I am out in the wilderness. And I love that, humanity is still out there. There's some really wonderful folks out there. So that's been a joy. It's not just reconnecting with old friends and a lot of our family that we wouldn't see when we were working because we don't have the time, but meeting and making new friends. We've got friends from all walks of life, to homeless people to multimillionaires, and we love and enjoy each of them equally, and we've made a lot of those friendships on the road. And it's really refreshing, to do that. So don't be afraid to get out there and do that. And Brian, sounds like you're already doing all those sort of things.
yeah.
Yeah. And Chris, let Dave take you out.
Yeah.
Just go. You can rent a truck camper if you ever want to go back to Alaska instead of a cruise ship. Fly into
Edmonton in Canada.
Yeah, Canada. Rent you a nice adventure truck camper on a F350 or F450 dually. We saw 500.
A million of them.
If I saw one, I saw 500 or 1,000 of those, and they're really nice rigs. And you could just rent the whole rig and then go tour Alaska for a week or two, or however long you want to do it, Canada, and then come back. So there were a lot of foreigners.
There were a lot of people doing that.
A lot of foreigners from France, Germany, all over Europe. Not only Americans, but I was very impressed with how many people wanted to come see the country. And if you're going to Alaska, truck camper's the way to go. It really is a great way to travel with that.
Yeah.
So that's an extra thought for another Alaska trip.
Yeah.
Without buying your own,
You asked about, and that would give you a good test too to see if you're cut out for it.
Yeah.
So there's a thought. You asked about mail. Another thing that we get is prescriptions and medical care. So we do have our regular doctors in the Houston area that we go back once a year and visit with them and
do the doctor
dentist thing. Our prescriptions, we just run them through Walgreens.
Yeah.
And you can have them just transferred. Wally gets phone calls all the time. Your prescription's ready in Idaho. And we just get it transferred. So
whatever Walgreens I'm at.
Wally, if Dave ever convinces me to embrace this lifestyle, he will need a private chat. No problem. Y'all have really nailed it. I hope you consider continuing to reach out to others who have these questions. Yeah, this was fun. I'm glad you forced me to do this.
Yeah, and we've enjoyed it. And, people that were doing this sort of lifestyle before we started were our inspiration. There's a lot of those couples. We still follow them on YouTube. And I've had people stop me and say, hey, you're the reason I'm doing this. And we've been stopped on the road a half dozen times. People recognize us, and it's amazing, humbling, and
and fun.
Yeah, we're having fun. So you guys can always reach out to us, in private too, if you got any questions. We have 2 or 3 people that we actually a young couple bought an Arctic Fox.
Good night, Cindy. See you soon.
See you, Cindy. And because of us, they said, and they contact us all the time with questions, So we love that sort of thing,
Yeah, Brian needs to check out.
Yeah,
I know everybody else is very busy, so thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. This has been fun, and we will do this again the next opportunity that we have. And you guys take care, and hope to see you guys down the road.
Yeah, if you guys got anything, private questions too, just send us a comment on YouTube. If you're having trouble, get a hold of us, and we'll answer that. Joe gets so excited about those comments. So thank you guys for following us, and we're enjoying doing this for you, and definitely it's a great way of life for us. So we thank you for tuning in, and hopefully some of this stuff has helped you, like other folks have helped us. Yeah.
Bye.
We'll see you guys later.